Hey, up, right, the Kawasaki W230 or Kawasaki W350 or Kawasaki W400. Take your pick. Over the last 2 weeks while I've been covering the Honda GB350S, I've had dozens of questions on this motorcycle or these motorcycles, and the thing is, only one of them actually exists. Once again, I don't know whether you remember, 3 weeks ago I mentioned that there were some bogus videos being put out about motorcycle releases, motorcycles that don't exist, more notably the Royal Enfield Classic 500. Now, this skullduggery is reaching epidemic proportions and it's catching a lot of viewers out. We've got a growing number of motor or motorcycle related channels which just dedicate their entire time to inventing fictitious launches of non-existent motorcycles, because they know how our minds work. They know that we're always looking for, the next possible purchase, the next latest and greatest model. And they're profiting from sort of invented motorcycle launches, knowing that we'll click on them out of curiosity, only to find out that, there's no such thing as the particular model that they're purporting has just been launched. Now, it's dishonest. A lot of these channels are clearly monetized, and they're making money basically by bamboozling people into thinking that there's a new launch that they weren't aware of, and they're profiting by basically lying to everyone. Now, I'm surprised YouTube's allowing them to get away with it. I suspect it's because YouTube isn't aware that they're doing it, because people aren't reporting these videos. And it's clear that a lot of people are falling for it hook, line and sinker, probably because they're watching it on mobile phones, so the pictures are so small they're not picking out the details of what they're actually been showing and comparing it with the narrative. So next time you click on one of these videos, as long as you're certain that it is fake news, click on the report button and report them for disinformation. It's the only way we're going to get on top of this dishonest behaviour, although I don't hold out much hope. Right, so the only model that actually exists is the Kawasaki W230, and there is also a special version of it available called the MEGURO S1. I'll explain what that is in a moment. Now, obviously, the W230 follows on from the W175 that we don't have here in the UK or Europe, and of course the W650 and W800. And if you think they all look a little bit like a BSA, that is because the origins of this model range, going right back to the early 1960s, started when the fledgling Kawasaki motorcycle company started building motorcycles under license from BSA. The Kawasaki W range has a very legitimate BSA heritage. Now, if you live here in the UK, the 230cc designation of this bike might sound a little bit odd. That's because of our silly A1 motorcycle requirements. It has to be 125 or smaller, so 230 really has become irrelevant in this country, which is why we've seen a resurgence of the 350cc category, especially where modern classics are concerned. Now, I actually don't think that this bike is too far away from the 350cc category when you consider its specifications. I think the main problem here in the UK is cubic capacity snobbery. But performance-wise, this W230 isn't too far behind the Royal Enfield 350s and the new Honda GB350S. Yes, there is a slight performance difference, but it's not as big as you might think. As far as I can tell, there are no plans by Kawasaki to introduce this into the UK market, but, and this is the surprising thing, it's going to be introduced into the Indian market and other parts of Asia, but it's also going to be introduced to Europe this year and North America. Now, I think we're going to see a lot more of this over the next few years with the new Euro 5 Plus or Euro 5B regulations, which are now already in force, making it more difficult and more expensive for motorcycle manufacturers to get larger capacity motorcycles through the necessary legislation. They realise that if they're going to stay afloat over the next few years, they're going to have to enter the sort of sub 80 mile an hour motorcycle market, and the W230 fits that criteria perfectly. I think the only barrier to us seeing this motorcycle in the UK at the moment is, of course, that sort of CC snobbery that everyone suffers from. But that could change as time goes on. I mean, look at Honda with the GB350. They swore blind they were never going to bring that to the UK, and now here it is, and it's been very successful so far. Kawasaki have obviously decided to hedge the bets with this model by borrowing their 230cc single-cylinder air-cooled motor from the Kawasaki KLX 230. Now, I might be wrong, but it does look to me like this motor's had a little bit of exterior restyling to give it more of a classic look in line with the W series. This is a very lightweight motorcycle, weighing in at only 143 kilograms, and Kawasaki have fitted this motor into a period correct chassis. A traditional twin shock absorber adjustable for preload at the back, and a very lightweight 37mm front fork setup. Braking's taken care of by disc brakes at the back and the front, which both of course are ABS controlled, with a single piston caliper at the back and a twin piston at the front. It has LED lighting at the front inside a round headlamp assembly, and features a traditional set of clocks with speedo and rev counter incorporating a small LCD display. And going purely on the tachometer on this bike, it looks like there just might be an electronic traction control system fitted. Now, they say that the nicest things come in small packages, and I personally think in the case of the W230 that is very true. With the teardrop fuel tank, bench seat and lightly balanced mudguards, this is just pure 1960s BSA Kawasaki heritage. Now, as I've already said, for the moment it doesn't look like this bike is coming to the UK, but it is going to be released in North America and continental Europe this season 2025. Now, although the European Kawasaki website does also sort of feature the MEGURO S1 version, I'm not quite sure what availability is going to be like on that. Just in case you don't know, Meguro was the biggest Japanese motorcycle manufacturer up until the early to mid 1960s. They then ran into financial trouble and were eventually bought out by Kawasaki. Now, the Meguro S1 version is basically just a W230, but in a classic Meguro period livery. And in my book, they're both very desirable looking lightweight motorcycles. Now, on paper, these bikes don't look at all impressive. At slightly under 18 horsepower, around 7,000 revs, and only managing to pump out about 18 newton meters of torque, I can understand that a lot of people are going to instantly dismiss this bike and just move on. But it's less than 3 horsepower lower than the Royal Enfield Classic 350, with a similar top speed of 71 miles an hour. Bearing in mind that the Classic 350 weighs 25% more than the W230. So in reality, the mathematics are not that far out for anybody that wants a lightweight commuter, tourer or fun weekend bike. Though obviously whether we'll ever see the likes of the W230 coming to the UK is a bit of a moot point at the moment. I'd certainly want a test ride on one. It's not 100% certain yet what the implications of the Euro B5 or B plus emissions regulations are going to be for the motorcycle industry across the world, but clearly Kawasaki and Honda are dipping the toes in possibilities at the moment. They're getting a foothold in the market while they see how it all pans out. Once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this and my other videos, and in doing so helping to support this channel. I really do appreciate it. I'd also appreciate it if you would leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber. Now there are other ways that you can help me out via my Patreon page, PayPal donations, or via the super thanks button down below. Not essential, but much appreciated. I am of course going to be back on Friday, so until then, please ride safely, and I'll see you soon.